The business model. The business model that we're showing here is adapted from the Lean Canvas developed by Ash Mayura, and that was adapted from the Business Model Canvas by Alex Osterwalder. So it's available for you to use, and it's just a way for you to say, how does my business make money? How do I create a product or service and sell it to a specific type of customer that solves their problem, that has unique value in the marketplace, that creates some type of competitive advantage? And how am I going to communicate my message to my customers? And how are people going to pay for it? And what are my costs going to be? And then how am I going to evaluate if it's successful or not? So that's really what a business model is. It is not your business plan. It is not your business. You can have multiple business models running in a business. Okay? It is the way that your business will make money. Okay? So what we want to do is identify what is one way that we could potentially make money, and go through this activity. And we might go through several variations of a business model before we settle on the one business model that we're going to use for these activities and these assignments. But we want to go through and practice making a business model and seeing if it's good. So like activities previously, we don't want to just stop on the first business model and say, that's it, that's the one I'm doing. We want to identify which is the best business model after learning how to do many different variations of the business model. So again, the business model is the vehicle that gets you there. It's like the vehicle that takes you from point A to point Z, right? It's the vehicle that generates cash for your business in order to help you successfully move your business forward. Okay, it is not the business plan, it is not the business, it is the business model. In a normal vehicle, if you're going to get into a car and you wanted to drive from point A to point Z, right? If you wanted to go on a road trip, your vehicle would suck up gas and produce miles to get you where you want to go. The business model provides solutions to customers' problems and generates revenue or cash to help you get you where you want to go. Ideally, it would match up to your vision statement. Your vision statement says, this is where I want my life or my business to be at a certain time, and it allows you to get to that point, that vision statement that you're doing, right? It is not necessarily your vision statement, but it helps you get to where you want to be, okay? So what are the parts of a business model? The first part is, and if you look at the map or the canvas, you'll see the different numbers. Let's discuss each part of these. So I would suggest to you to print out or make a copy or somehow make a way that you can edit a business model canvas and then just jot down what you think about for each of these areas. So first of all, let's look at the business trend in the marketplace. Go back to the assignment that we did previously, and then you ask why is that customer in this business trend? What are they trying to do, right? Why are they wanting to solve a problem or pain in order to find a solution for that customer's issues, right? So think about that person and what problem or pain do they have in the marketplace? So for example, if somebody is at a coffee shop, they might want to get some caffeine because they're sleepy. So their problem is they're sleepy, and their solution would be to get some coffee. So one easy way, if you're struggling to identify one problem or pain for the customer, is think about your customers, and you can go to number 2, your customer segments, and think about them. So at any point, you can start with any number on the business model canvas. You can start with customer segments and then identify problem or pain, or you can start with a problem or pain and then you ask yourself, what type of customers would have those? So you can always go back and forth with them. So for each of these areas, for the problem or pain, try to identify a problem or pain that your customers face. And if you come up with more than one pain, that's fine. You can jot down specific ones, but we just want to end up with one problem. That's why it's called the lean business model canvas, is because we want to identify just one specific type of customer and one specific problem that they're having in the marketplace. Okay, so just start on that and focus on it, and then circle the one that you end up with. That's a good way to run. For customer segments, we want to identify potential customer segments, and again, you can talk about different people. So for example, if you are talking about that person who's standing in line and they're on their way to work and they're busy and they just want some caffeine, right? What type of person is this? So this would probably be the person that is going to work that's in a hurry, okay? And that would describe the customer segment, okay? So not everybody in the coffee shop is this type of person, but you're trying to create a customer segment. So there's a little bit more information on creating a customer profile, which you can link and see more about that if you're unsure of how to create a customer profile or a target market. The solution. So this is what your business will do. This is the what if section in the activity that we previously did. Is what is your business going to do to provide a solution to that customer's problem or pain in the marketplace? And so for the coffee shop, you could say, I'm going to create a coffee shop that serves coffee very, very fast to people that work. So you could talk about the features. So the features are anything that your business does that specifically helps your customers. So a feature might be a drive-through. Okay, a feature might be able to call ahead and pick it up. A feature might be that they use an app and the coffee is delivered to their office. So the features is the parts of the business that people use. So focus on one feature, the main feature that people use that really simplifies the business model. Okay, and so in this case, we might say we're going to use a drive-through. Okay, the value proposition is, what a value does your product or service offer to the customer? So this should be directly relational to what the customer's problem is and what the solution is that you're providing. So for example, it solves the problem. It might be new. It might be that it performs better than others. There might be a design. It might be status. It might save the people time. It might cost less. Okay, it might reduce the risk that a customers have. Okay, so in this case, our value proposition is that we offer good coffee fast, right, and convenient. That's what we're picking as our value proposition. The channels is how we're going to communicate, and so with the customer. And this is often two parts to this. So in this specific section, you're going to have two parts to the channels. The channels is how you're going to communicate to customers to let them know that your product or service exists. And the second part is how are you going to deliver that product or service. So we want to pick just two. And so in this situation, we might use Facebook. We're going to use Facebook advertising and letting people know that we have a new coffee shop that is just drive-through and that is fast and convenient. And then the second part is we're going to have the drive-through where people can get coffee. Okay, so how will the customer learn about your product and how will they purchase or use the product? How will the product be delivered to them? So we want to talk about those two things. And remember to make it lean. You can talk about a million different ways customers could potentially learn about your product. We could talk about all the different ways we could deliver that customer or let the customer buy it. But in a lean canvas, we want to talk about just what is the best way, the most specific things that we're going to do. So just pick one way that people will learn about it and one way that they will purchase or the product will be delivered to them. Okay. The unfair advantage is how the customers use your product and how it's a better option than the competition. So what advantage does your business have over the competition? So let's say in this way where we're creating a coffee shop that we have a drive-through, the only thing we have is a little tiny drive-through. So there's no seating, there's no chairs, and people just come in to get fast coffee. That way, people who really want fast coffee are not having to wait in line for everybody else that just wants to sip their coffee at the coffee shop. You're making it more convenient for those specific drivers. You're also cutting down on a lot of cost because you don't have tables and chairs. You only have a couple people working there, right? And so your unfair advantage is you keep your costs low and you're delivering your stuff fast. Okay, so that has an advantage over regular coffee shops that have to pay a lot of employees. They have to pay a large retail space to operate that business. So you're creating unfair advantage. So you can talk about the location. You also might have a better brand or offer a better type of coffee than them. You might have an expert that works for you, or you might be the expert. You might have a better supplier or vendor than your competitors have. There might be a financial gain, like your business costs less to operate than other ones. So those are all the things that we want to talk about in unfair advantage. The revenue streams is how your business is going to get money. So in the easiest way to figure this out is, how is the customer going to pay you? Okay, so in our business model would be people drive by and they will pay us, and it will be cash or credit card or however they're going to pay. You could alternatively challenge yourself to say, what happens if the customer didn't pay for it? Is there a way for us to make money on coffee? We could put advertising on coffee cups and have maybe an insurance company sponsor us for that day, and all the coffee is free, sponsored by this insurance company, right? And tomorrow it could be a different company that sponsors the coffee. So there are ways to change the revenue streams. So challenge yourself to think differently about how you might make money. So again, I challenge you to create a lean canvas. So just talk about one way your business will primarily make revenue and list that. So for our business model canvas, we'll say the business will be made by customers paying for coffee. The cost structure. The cost structure identifies important costs of the business model. What are the key resources most needed and which ones are most expensive? Is your business more cost-driven? It offers low cost to the customer, or value-driven? It offers the best value to the customer. So these are the things we want to look at in the cost structure. The cost structure is, what are the costs that are going into the business? And a lean business model is, you want to cut or reduce the amount of costs to the most important parts of the business that your type of customer, your customer segment, only want to use in order to solve their problem or pain. Okay, so that we talked about in our business model is, we don't have tables, we don't have chairs, we don't have a large coffee shop, because the main thing our business model is focusing on is providing fast, convenient, good quality coffee to our busy customers that want coffee fast. So our cost structure is mainly, we just have as small a space as possible that has a drive-through. You have 2 employees, and you have the coffee, and you do some Facebook advertising. So those are the main costs for your business. So you want to list all the different types of costs that are most specific to your type of business model that you've created so far. Finally, the metrics. This is the dashboard. We equated the business model as the vehicle that helps you get from point A to point Z. The metrics is really your dashboard that you can use to measure, is your business model successful or not? And so there are common things that you really want to measure as you're progressing through your business, and you're using this business model to generate cash to help you achieve your vision statement. So just like a car, what are the most common things? On a car's dashboard, you might see how fast you're going. You might see what's your miles per gallon. You might see how much gas you have left. You might see if the car is heating up, or maybe a few other measurements here. But you want to measure what is most likely useful for your business. Most often they're going to include how much sales are you bringing in, and that could be per day, it could be per month. So you want to measure how much sales are, that's generally a good metric to track. You want to track the number of units sold. You want to talk about the number of customers, and that might be the number of unique customers. So that might be how many different customers come to you every day or every month, or it might be how many times does that customer come back to you every single day, right? Do they come back every day? So repeat business might be something you want to measure. So you might also want to measure, are they satisfied? So if you're finding you're always getting new customers but no one's repeating, I always like to consider the satisfaction. So is there a way to measure customer satisfaction? So these are things that can help you fix any issues as you're driving along. Okay, so if you find out that you're having lots of unique customers and the customers that finish the product or service are not satisfied, it might tell you that you need to increase the quality of your product in order for people to come back a second time. Okay, so the metrics are used to help you course correct after you get started. And finally is you want to track the profit. Are you making a profit off of each unit you sell? Are you making profit at the end of the month? So this is always something good to track as well. Okay, next we'll talk about our assignment.